Welcome to the first conversation in our series on community collaboration models for equity in energy research. I'm Mila, a sociologist, community leader, and environmental justice researcher, and for the past few years, I've been working in the energy space, bringing together my experience in academia, industry, and grassroots organizing to help teams weave equity into their projects from the very start. Before we get into specific tools, agreements, or models, we need to talk about the foundation that makes them meaningful: equity. Many organizations you'll work with, whether community-based, government, educational, or industry partners, often state a commitment to equity. Equity in this context has several dimensions. Distributive equity focuses on outcomes, how the benefits, burdens, and risk of energy projects are shared across different groups. Material equity considers the tangible resources and supports, whether communities have the capacity, funding, or infrastructure needed to truly participate as partners. And procedural equity asks whether the processes themselves are fair and inclusive, who is at the table, whose voices are heard, and whose expertise is valued in decision-making. Taken together, these perspectives help us see equity not as an abstract idea, but as a practical framework for structuring collaboration and accountability. One way to operationalize these concepts is through energy equity measures. For example, tracking energy burden, a high percentage of household income spent on energy costs, helps identify where affordability is a challenge. Measures like energy poverty, energy insecurity, or disparities in access to clean energy technologies provide data-driven ways to assess whether benefits and burdens are equitably shared. These kinds of indicators give researchers and practitioners a concrete way to connect technical expertise with lived community realities. The real question is not whether equity matters, but how that value is made real in everyday practice. This is especially important in the energy and environmental fields where the benefits and burdens of projects are not shared equally. Too often, certain communities, frequently low-income, indigenous, or communities of color, have been excluded from decision-making while experiencing the highest energy burdens, environmental risk, and limited access to clean technology. If we want to innovate responsibly, we have to break those patterns. Justice40, launched as part of federal climate and infrastructure programs, is a good example of how equity can be put into action. Its goal was for at least 40% of the benefits of certain federal investments, like clean energy, public transit, and water infrastructure, to reach disadvantaged communities. It encouraged project teams to define who those communities were, measure the benefits they received, and be transparent about the results. While Justice40 is no longer a requirement for every program, it's still a strong model to keep in mind. It showed that equity isn't just about intentions, it's about measurable outcomes and shared accountability. It also reminds us that equity isn't just about compliance, it's about fairness, trust, and building a future where no community is left behind. Thus, equity is necessary even without a mandate. Federal requirements come and go, but a commitment to equity should be grounded in responsibility, trust, and long-term effectiveness. Projects that embed equity from the start tend to have better outcomes, like fewer roadblocks, greater adoption of new technologies, and more durable benefits for everyone involved. Before we go further, I want to pause for a moment of reflection. Think about your current projects or the partnerships you're considering. How is equity showing up right now? And more importantly, what would it look like if equity wasn't just a checkbox, but the guiding principle from day one? Take a moment to hold that vision, because it's in that space that transformative partnerships take root. For researchers, engineers, and implementers, situating technical expertise within an equity framework makes your work stronger and more relevant. It ensures that the technology you develop aligns with real-world needs, that deliverables are meaningful to the people they're meant to serve, and that you benefit from the insight of those who know the local context best. Equity strengthens proposals, improves technical designs, and builds partnerships that last. I also want to acknowledge that doing equity work, especially in technical, high-pressure environments, can bring its own kind of anxiety. Here are a few reminders to help manage it. First, know who you can turn to in a bind, whether that's a mentor, a trusted colleague, or an employee assistance program. Next, set project or collaboration expectations clearly about what's being done, when, and how, rather than assuming others know. Make time not only to do the work, but to communicate about it. Then you want to be sure to over-communicate, both about the work itself and your progress. Remember that trust takes time to build, and you can strengthen it by fulfilling commitments, under-promising and over-delivering whenever possible. Have the courage to ask clarifying questions from a place of curiosity rather than criticism. Pause before reacting. In most situations, you don't have to respond immediately. Remember to smile. Don't just be the expert or the engineer. Be human. Translate your technical work into the values and norms of the community you're working with. And remember, this can't be done alone. Equity work is an adaptive process. It requires learning, interpreting, and adjusting as you go. In the videos ahead, we'll look at what all this means in practice, where equity-centered approaches have worked well, where they've fallen short, and how you can use concrete tools to make equity visible and actionable in your own work. For now, know that equity is not a destination. It's the foundation you build on and the framework that shapes your every choice. When you start here, you create partnerships that not only deliver technical success, but also move us closer to equitable futures in energy and environmental work.